everyone. Welcome to the Human Values Club podcast. Yeah.
Hi.
Woo. My name is Victoria, for those of you who don't know, and I will be your host this evening, my first time hosting. Hey. So here we are on a lovely Friday evening. But I want to see how everyone is doing today, how everyone's week has been. So let's get to know our other friends on this podcast. Hey, Andrea, what's up?
Hey. It's Friday. It's RuPaul's Day, so I'm excited and happy to be with you here. I ate some delicious vegan Mexican food today, and so good. So good. That can have it any time. But yes.
That sounds amazing. I am vegetarian, not vegan because of the cheese thing and the eggs thing, but proud of you for trying some vegan Mexican.
Oh, it's one time, everything else.
Exactly.
Can't miss that egg and cheese.
I feel ya. Javier, what's up? How's it going?
Hey. Oh, it's going so good. I love caravans and honking to the beat. It's a new favorite pastime. I was making some music in that caravan, so I loved it. I love fighting for social justice when it's music attached to it. You know how it goes.
And you find the right way to beep your horn in a certain rhythm, and you're like, oh, life is good. Melody, what's up?
Hello,
Queen M
hello.
in the house.
Hi, I'm doing well. I am kind of in the middle of getting ready for school, but also trying to enjoy the last few days of my little break. I recently watched this movie called The 40-Year-Old Version. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's really good. It's amazing, actually. And I think it was just kind of very inspiring for me going into the new semester. So I definitely recommend to anybody who's interested. I think it's on Netflix. Good movie. I won't say anything about it because I want you to go in with a blank slate. So.
Yes.
But yes, happy to be here. Super excited for this conversation and welcome everybody who's listening.
Yay! Happy to have you here. And then last but certainly not least, Katie Shaw. Hey!
Hello. I am feeling energized. I feel like the actions, the solidarity actions happening right now in Chicago for the teachers that have been locked out, I think it's been great to see people come together. It's been great hearing parent testimonials, students getting out today. So I think today was just a very energizing day.
Yes.
It sounded pretty successful too. It sounded like you guys got a lot of people in that caravan and beyond.
Made a lot of noise.
Yes.
That's great.
I think the neighborhood enjoyed the ruckus.
Wait, how early was it? How early were you guys there?
Well, we went. We were down in Union Park at 10 a.m. And drove down to the board, and then went down to Pilsen.
Nice.
So it was like, a morning affair, morning till noon, early afternoon.
Well done. Yeah. I'm proud of y'all.
People were up.
Yeah.
If not, we woke them up. We for sure woke them up if they weren't up already.
They are up now, and they're going to be up for a long time.
Yeah, can we say thank you to all the teachers and organizers? Some snaps.
Snappy.
And hopefully they can go safely to school sometime.
Yes, we'll get there.
Yes.
All right. Well, now, here it is. It's that part where we do our little bits and bobs.
Bits and bobs and bits and bobs and bits and bobs and bits and bobs and bits and bobs.
Hey. Here it is, the bits and bobs. So this is the part of the podcast where we like to tell you all of the places that the Human Values Club is for you to come join us, comment at us, hashtag us, or Ko-fi us. So we're on Instagram, We're on YouTube. Special shout out to Javier for all of the musical videos he's been posting and the meditations. Amazing. We're on Facebook. We are on Twitter. And last but certainly not least, we have a Ko-fi account. So if you want to drop us a cup of coffee or drop us a little like, thank you, appreciate you guys, or something like that, you can go to ko-fi.com/human values club.
Yeah.
Smooth like butter.
Smooth like butter. It feels very good on the heart to sing it like that.
Yeah. I love how you say that.
Actually, one day I was like, "Oh, what's the link for the Ko-fi?" And then I was like, "Ko-fi."
When you sing it, you never have to remember it. It's
yeah,
there. Boom.
Exactly. Music's everywhere, and I tell my students too. I'm like, why do you think we help you learn things with songs? Because you'll remember them. You're welcome. Anyways, yes, music is everywhere, and we need it, especially during this time. Speaking of this time, we have a lot to talk about in this podcast. It's a very important podcast for us, near and dear to our hearts. We are going to be talking about how to, how to help the young people and how to hold space for young people during historical events. So the most recent historical event that just happened was January 6th. It was a Wednesday, and everything went down in DC. So we are going to be talking about that a little bit. We're going to be talking about how to make room, how to handle things in the moment, after the moment, what we need to do to make sure children feel safe and empowered to do something and remain safe. And I think we should just jump right in because I know we all have a lot to say about this. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to hand it over to Queen M, Melody, for our lovely discussion questions.
All hail the Queen.
The Queen.
Stop it.
The Queen. Message from the Queen.
Thank you so much to our host Victoria. Wonderful things.
Yay.
Before I dive in, I do want to just say to all our listeners and to everybody on this podcast that I really just want us to feel relaxed and present with one another, because I know holding the truth to the things that we'll talk about is very important, and some of that might feel uncomfortable. Some of it might raise up anger or frustration in some people, but I think holding truth to the light and sitting with that uncomfortable feeling is an important part of growing and also healing. So to all our listeners, just find a comfortable spot and grab your favorite warm drink or cold drink if you're in warm weather right now, and just try to be really present with us and take this a step at a time. That being said, right now it's a really hard time, I believe, politically and just in America concerning a lot of things. I would say there's quite a lot of division right now, and there's also just a lot of distortion with what is truth, like what is actually correct, coming from sources like the news, which and coming from the highest form of governance in a country. It's hard to say what is the truth right now. It's just very distorted, and what is very true to some people might be completely untrue to others. And so we just really want to take the time to bring light to what is the truth for us, but what is actually the truth. There might be some people out there who disagree with that. And I think one thing that I often think about is sometimes when if we're talking to somebody that maybe who doesn't necessarily agree with the things that we're saying, we maybe stop believing ourselves if we're constantly surrounded by that. And so I think about children all the time and how they're so aligned with what is truth and what is good. And if they're in an environment that doesn't encourage that and uphold that, then they stop trusting themselves and they begin to believe the things that are untrue. And So, in light of what happened at the Capitol and other historical events like any assassinations of significant leaders or like JFK, Martin Luther King, if we look at 9/11, to my fellow podcast friends, what were you doing in that time? Or just share with us a little bit of how you dealt with those very significant moments in history. If you can jog your long-term memory, if you were a child when some of those things happened, and maybe even comparing that to how you dealt with what recently happened. What resources did you have at the time? How did you deal with that personally? How were other people able to help you? I really want to open it to anybody who feels compelled to jump in at this time.
I mean, I can jump in just because I remember it pretty clearly, or at least the moments, being in 8th grade. And Mr. Weiss class at Bell Elementary, Chicago Public Schools, baby. And just he at one point turned on the TV. I don't know what, but we had a TV in the room. He turned on the TV, and we just saw the chaos and just everything. And then shortly after that, there was an announcement over the intercom, and I think it was the principal that said to any teachers, please turn off your TVs right now. And I wonder if that was the first time I witnessed, this isn't okay to talk about, or they don't want us talking. They don't want the teacher showing us this. And that is a conversation maybe we can circle back to of how comfortable is a teacher speaking to students about when these things happen. I don't remember having a conversation with my mom, although probably I did. She would have been one to talk to me about this stuff. And I don't really know what other resources I had. I don't remember talking about it at school. And honey, this was a long time ago. You're asking me to go way, way back, but I mean that's as far.
It's just a few years.
As far as me remembering, that's kind of all I got. But I remember distinctly when I first saw it on the TV in my 8th grade classroom.
Do you remember how you felt in that moment, like the feelings?
Maybe just confusion. I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
It looked like a movie. And I think that's come up recently too. It's I can't believe this is happening. This is like a disaster movie that you see, and
where it's so bad.
I didn't know who was responsible. I didn't know who was responsible. That was very confusing. And yeah.
So if I could jump in, I imagine the intercom, when you told that story, I imagine the intercom announcement being for some reason, protect the children, they can't be exposed to this, they can't see this. And Melody, to circle back to your question, I was 5, so I have no memory of 9/11, of the events surrounding that day. But what I do remember is just constantly feeling like every major event, every presidential election, every major win or loss. My mom didn't have the news on in the house growing up. She really didn't want. She's very easily stressed, and I know that runs in the family. So she didn't want that stuff playing. But we talked about it. We had a lot of conversations because it was just my mom. We just, we had those conversations, and she's a teacher as well. So she was also processing this stuff with her students. And I think being the youngest person, I want to say in the room, but in the meeting room, it constantly feels like everything that happens is like a natural disaster. Everything is so blown up that I personally feel extremely desensitized. This recent attack or insurrection, whatever you want to call it, It
Domestic terrorism.
Yeah, yes, all of the above. It Although it did surprise me because I did grow up and like a pretty had a pretty sheltered life, but it didn't like there was not like that shock value. I feel like a lot of more conservative or liberal people who kind of believe in they are so indoctrinated with this idea of that we live in a democracy and so it's just desensitized, I think is the word that I would use to describe where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like if those things keep happening, not specifically like the capital, if that like happens over and over, that would be terrible. But just like really all the events that have happened over the past 4 years, it's almost like in your mind you say, well, at this point, anything that happens is not worse than, like, it could get worse. Like, it's so possible for something worse to happen than what just happened. Because it's almost like there's something that's being fueled. And so the idea of order in the sense where something like this may be happening in a time where at least there was a little more order. And I would say there's always chaos to some degree, but this maybe is a time of just a lot of chaos. And so within it, it's like, well, I'm not surprised. And how do I feel? I'm not even sure anymore. And I think there are some therapists who talk about how the body deals with trauma and how, in order to protect ourselves from outside things, we desensitize. We kind of, it's a way of adding this protective armor in order to protect what's left of us in there. And so a lot of people, I think that's how they're dealing with it. It's like almost being indifferent when you know deep down inside you care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk, kind of like add to the stories of remembering where we were at 9/11 because I was in between Katie's and Javier's age. So I was old enough to kind of understand, but not old enough to understand. And I think the way, talking about dealing with that trauma, I think I was a third grader. So and being someone who is highly sensitive and I was pretty empathetic at that age too. I remember my teachers like going out in the hall a lot that day. And like talking to each other and like teachers would like come to my teacher's room and talk to her and just like be whispering. And I'm like, okay, well that's kind of okay. Must be something going on. And then I would go to my friend's house after school, like right after school until my parents got home from work. So when we went to my neighbor's house, they had the TV on and I didn't really understand what the event was still because like I don't think my neighbor really wanted to like explain it to me, but my mom came and picked me up early. And I remember her coming and like bringing me home and I was like, "Oh my God, am I in trouble? Like why is my mom here early? Like, uh-oh." And then she was explaining it to me and I remember I had heard that, planes had hit a building. And my third grade mind was like, okay, well, why is everyone freaking out? Like, I didn't think that there are people in that plane. There are people in that building. Like, I hear plane hitting a building, and I think, like, the only thing that is harmed is a plane or a building. Like, not, maybe some stairs are injured. I don't know. Like, some windows are broken. Like, calm down,
the
everyone.
elevator stopped working.
Right. Like, exactly. Yeah. Because I didn't get the severity until my mom came and explained it to me. And my mom, I like to call her a good Karen because her name is Karen. And she, but before you go assuming about this lovely Karen, she is progressive, liberal, whatever, all that, good human. And she watched the news with me and explained, no, someone crashed a plane full of people into a building full of people, and we're going to watch the news right now to figure out what else is going on. And I'm really thankful for her. And she didn't like go too much into detail about it, like, well, who they think it was, what they think, like she didn't really like kind of put her own opinions on it, except that it was horrifying this is not good. Stuff's gonna go down after this, and like we need to watch the news. So I I think that was like my first historical event that I remember. Um,
So
Yeah.
not to cut you off, but I just want to
no,
if we think about what the teacher's immediate reaction was after witnessing this event, it was to be in community. It was to go talk to other teachers. It was to be with other people to process what you're feeling. And so to me, the disconnect comes from we say we want to protect kids because we want to shelter them, but they are going to find out about it one way or another. So
exactly.
why not
Just
have the way that they find out about it be a way where it is a safe space? You are creating that space for them. You are asking them what they already know and filling in and helping them fill in the gaps.
Yes.
So I just wanted to that it came to my mind because that is our natural instinct, is to be in community, is to talk to other people. And
find a person.
As adults or as educators, we don't realize. I mean, I look at my 9-year-old sister, and she's, we're playing Uno, we're doing something, but the adults are over there having their conversation, and I'm trying to engage with her because, she needs to do kid things. Like she's an only child, and I'm not there all the time, but she is listening. She is, you see her eyes, you see her eyes going over there, or, you see her lean in a little closer. No matter what she's doing, she's listening and absorbing all of that information. And so if nobody gives her the opportunity to process those things, or to talk about why people are reacting emotionally the way that they're reacting to things, there is no, I mean, you're doing young people a disservice, in my opinion.
It's basically like hiding the truth, or keeping the truth from them, Sorry, go ahead.
I think I might have understood where that concern comes from. And just kind of like your neighbor, Victoria, was this thing of she was probably I'll let your mom explain it to you.
Yeah.
Because I understand this thing of your parent should really talk to you about this. Mm-hmm. And, that's the ideal situation. I think the other ideal situation is talk to your teacher about it, and we're all kind of saying, it should be a safe place for the teacher to talk about that. But the two problems is teachers don't have the training and resources for that.
Right.
Or in some cases, the motivation to seek that training to be able to talk to students about that, because that training is available.
Or the energy.
The energy, the emotional labor that is not in the job contract, but we do it out of the kindness of our hearts. And then the other consideration, and probably why there is this pressure of don't talk to students, or I'll say it, at least don't give your personal political opinions to students, is because there are some teachers who have harmful opinions and ideas. I won't say opinions, because they can have opinions, but that have harmful ideas that shouldn't be said to the students. But how do you that's a huge thing to think about, as we're schools are talking about doing anti-racist work. Maybe there's some teachers who shouldn't be talking to students about anti-racism if they're not going to do it sincerely. So that is another consideration. But again, another thing we kind of talk about with the Human Values Club is a new way of teaching and a new way of training teachers and supporting parents. So maybe there's some freedom dreaming to be done in that direction.
Definitely. Yeah, and Victoria, I really like the way you explain how you're I think I imagine myself being a child and at 5 and this happening. I was all the way in St. Lucia, and so it was less severe for me. Just everything that was happening. It was more something flipping through the channels. We would see it on the news compared to my reality. But you explain how your mom was telling you what was happening. Okay, a plane hit a building. There are people in there. We're going to watch the news. And to me, taking it step by step with children is, if we maybe want to not be too political and allow maybe children to grow their own views about it, it's helpful to at least explain to the child what's happening and to be honest with how you're feeling in that moment, because I think being vulnerable and transparent in moments like these is very helpful to children because they feel the energy. And so if you're
Definitely.
saying something that's different to what's happening and how they're feeling, you're almost training them to mistrust how they're feeling with what's happening. And so I feel like, and we'll go more into this, like how to deal with these things, but I think in a moment, teachers should at least explain, okay, this is what's happening, and we don't know what to do, and we're scared, and it's okay to be scared, and we're here together. Like, that is a step.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Sorry,
I
just
go
want to say
ahead.
normalize vulnerability. It's a superpower.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Vulnerability is strength. It's true. Yeah.
Brene Brown over here.
Yeah.
Hey.
Also, her book Dare to Lead is really good. I'm reading it right now. She calls it, well, she has this phrase called rumble with vulnerability that she uses like in her team, but of like, like how to talk about difficult conversations in it's more like job spaces. But how important vulnerability is part of that. And if I might just add to while we were there, I do remember, and thank you, Melly, for putting your perspective too, because I do remember, when was this, September? Why everyone was in school, but I remember being in Costa Rica. I was in my house with my parents, so I'm like, wait, were we on vacation or something? And I do remember like putting the TV on and everything, and right until now, until we're talking here today, I was like, oh my God, I was like 7 years old. And you could think about a 7-year-old and you're like, you know, they don't know what's happening. You know, they don't really get what is happening. But I remembered so vividly. Like, that's some of the things that I remember so vividly. And I think I was like just asking my dad, but why would they do that? But like, why would they? And my dad is like, well, you know, there was a war and like, then they got mad and like, so, you know, trying to explain it somehow, but because we hadn't talked about that before, it was like, oh, how to explain it? But I think it's valuable that you said of like, and maybe this is a good exercise for everyone, for adults too, like what actually happened? Okay, a plane hit a building, and then, you know, and from there, like, okay, but why did they hit this building? And it just made me think of.
Sorry, I just wanted
to.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, the impact that it can have to children just outside of, let's say in this case, the U.S. And I do remember going after that at some point, going into Wikipedia, like rabbit holes of like this kind of war and like what people were fighting and things like that. So,
and see, that's like amazing, because that's that's our natural curiosity. But if, like, why not take that then as an opportunity to funnel that into a guided discussion, a way where it's not and not to control the information that young people are getting, but to present them with all of the facts that we know, and then let them draw their own conclusions. I think Melanie was hitting on that before, is like being honest with them, and also realizing that like today's children are, young people are like, they're growing up with computers in their hands. So they've also grown up through this war on terror, through active shooter drills in schools, through, now this pandemic. And so like, we're pretending like these young people aren't going through these things with us. And if anything, like, they're going through them just as much, if not more, because they don't have all of the life experience that older people have to help them process and kind of like situate what they're feeling or what they're thinking within context. Sorry, like contextualizing what is happening right now.
Yes.
So
definitely,
it's just like a recipe for misinformation and for misinformation.
Yeah. And I think it's not, we're talking about normalizing vulnerability, and we're that we don't have these opportunities for these conversations, and people asking like, well, how do I how to talk to my children about this? How do I talk to my students about this? And I think Andrea alluded to something a little bit earlier, is if you haven't set up systems or rituals around dealing with things, you're going to be more caught off guard. Andrea and I talk about this a lot, of like, set something up so that when there's a conflict or an issue, that you have a way to talk about it, like the rumble of vulnerability. So I think that's a huge part. And I think when talking to teachers and they're asking, how do you do that in your classroom, I talk about human values starting in day one, and I really see that as a thing that is promoting a safe environment and keeping conversations focused on humanity. And if you take a time to do that work up front and consistently every week with a weekly message of humanity, and that this is what we value, these are human values, we value goodness, when things come up, we're gonna share the facts. How do you feel about it? What should be done next? And then bring it back to humanity. Remember that the goal is kind of to bring, not kind of, but is to bring everyone together eventually through love, through justice, and through accountability. But that unity is the goal, but not without accountability. And I think the most important thing is setting up those systems and setting up how those conversations are going to work, whether that's in the classroom or in families, right? We have family meeting, you have these things that are very healthy to clear the air, because we can't leave the children alone to their own, to what they're learning from each other or from someone else who's, like you said, there's a lot of misinformation going on. And the internet is a place that young people can get, I don't know if radicalized is the right word, or there's an even heavier word than that, but I think you know where I'm going with that. Go ahead.
I read something online the other day about it takes like on average 6 months of social media exposure to radicalize you one way or the other. And if you think about how quickly that happens, I think that we need to move past protecting, like we need to move past thinking that not telling children what's happening is protecting them. Because I think protecting them is being honest with them, is modeling how to have an honest conversation and be open about your feelings, is asking open-ended questions, asking, well, what do you know? What are some things that you've seen? Or like, and these questions, they're going to look different for everyone, and it's going to be really based on like what your relationship with the young person is, whether you're their family and you know them really well, you're their teacher, you know them really well, or you're just, someone like me who maybe would only spend one class session with them as a substitute teacher. Like, they look different, but some examples could just be like, what have you heard? Or what questions do you have? And then if they don't know something as simple as, like, for example, what is a protest, or why do people protest, you're better able to provide any missing information that they don't have. And then you can focus on the emotional side of it. So how do you think the people who are protesting feel? How do you feel about it? How does this make you feel? And then what do you do when you think something is unfair, or things like that? And then that's the way you are protecting them, because you are not, it's not this power imbalance where you know more and you're giving the student or the young person information. You are right. You're, leveling out the playing field and meeting them where they're at.
Yes. Yes.
And I think, like, with that, it's important to remember, like, you should really start with the objective before going to the subjective. So, like, with my mom, she said, here's what's happening. This is what's going on. And then as we watch the news,
just the facts.
Like, here's the facts. Like, here's what's going on. This is happening. And then as we were watching, I saw that she was crying. And as a third grader, a very emotional third grader, I might add. I mean, can you believe it? How hard is that? But so, I was like, well, why is my mom crying about this? And then I, was watching like, stories of people's family members, losing their lives, and stories of people on the plane and people in, one of the towers trying to help other people, and just like thinking about that, being like, well, what if like that happened to someone I know? Or what is my mom thinking about, people that she knows? Is she stepping into other people's shoes and thinking about how scary that is? And then in turn, I did that. And then I became like, very emotional and very heartbroken about the whole thing. But this was after the objective, right? This was after she gave me the facts. She said, this is what's happening. This is, and then I'm sad about it. So then I was like, okay, this is what's happening. This is sad. I'm sad about it too. And it goes back, like, I wanted to touch on what Javier said too, with human values, like being able to share this and talk about this with your students or your children or whoever, young people in your lives. The 5 universal human values: love, truth, truth. You can't hide the truth from people. That's not fair, no matter how young they are. Yeah. Peace, nonviolence, right action. These young people are going to be citizens of the world, citizens of their community, citizens of the country. So why not give them the information as young as they can, like take in words like that or something like that, just so they're even more prepared and even more informed and even more just like in the know about what's been going on in our country, so that, they're all prepared even a little bit more,
Victoria, you just, your stories, they're so great, and I have so many questions. I just have one question. So
yes.
If we're comparing, we're thinking about 9/11, and although like there are some sides, right, to be had. There's 2 sides to every story, but with something like that, it's because it's so like shocking and violent to lives, and also just America's history of like othering other communities and racism against Muslims. I wonder, in this scenario, if we're taking this into 2021 now with what just happened, it's not like unifying, right? It's very dividing. So when a parent is having an honest conversation and laying out the facts for the young people in their life, what do we do when those facts contradict what we believe to be the truth, to be the focus on humanity?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Javier. What are you thinking?
Hate is nothing but the absence of love. Is the thing that comes to me. Darkness is the absence of light, and cold is the absence of heat. Hate is the absence of love. And we shy away from talking to young people about this because we want to maintain their innocence, or we want to maintain our attachment to our role as their caretaker. And I think that there's a way to speak to children or young people where they get it. There's a way that you can speak to them, often more simply than we should just speak that simply always. And there's a way that we can put it for them that makes sense. And I think that it's not that complicated to explain to a young person that everyone has needs, and if we want to see each other as a family, as one global family, our job is to take care of each other's needs and to hold our needs as sacred. And that unfortunately in the world there has been a history of people's basic needs not being met. And when people's needs are not met, they are not able to live in a place of total love and total presence and total joy. So they become desperate, and when they become desperate, they become afraid. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side. Yeah, I'm gonna show my kids Star Wars.
The dark side.
You know what I'm saying?
You better.
No, but seriously, and that that balance is in each one of us, and we're always kind of striving to be good and striving to be that light and that embodiment of love that we already are, but we're trying to stay awakened to that knowledge at all times. And just to explain to young people that, this is what happens when people's needs are not met.
Right.
And anytime things are reduced to violence, it is already a failure of communication. And there are unfortunately a lot of lies in the world that there's not enough in the world to go around, and people they're afraid that idea, that false idea, makes them afraid, so they have to protect their own and those they see as a threat. When really we all know that the good earth is rich and plentiful and has to give to everyone who needs, if we work together and if we protected the earth.
That spirit of abundance.
So yes.
House of abundance. Yes.
Abundance.
And it's important when you're talking to your child or your student about this, and they are feeling some sort of conflict about what they're hearing and what they know already. There's another opportunity for a conversation, like, okay, so how are you feeling that I'm telling you now that people stormed the Capitol and got in and are wreaking havoc in there? Like, what young person, what are you feeling? And if they're feeling something, confused or something that contradicts what they've heard before, that's another conversation opener and a way for you to kind of like promote love, promote peace, and see where they're coming from. Because usually when kids give you their opinions, it's pure. Depending on how young or old they are. But the young ones, especially, if they're like, well, that's not very nice. Or, how did they get into the Senate? Isn't there a guard there? That's the whole, and then you go into that whole conversation of like, well, yes, there should have been. But then that's the whole separate conversation about, the police and, that kind of thing. So I think it's just like, hey, if you, why do you feel like you are disagreeing with me? Or why do you think that what I'm saying is not what you've heard before? So, like, it's just all about keeping the conversation open and truthful,
Definitely.
Yes.
Which is hard. It's hard for a parent, but.
And I think that, if you're if you're a teacher right now, maybe don't go to like a single student and say, Johnny, what do you think about the Capitol thing?
Right.
I want to offer to our listeners, if some of us are teachers or you work with groups of students, especially remotely right now, I do a lot of talking circles. So I start off by, doing norms of, assumed best intentions. Again, building systems, that this isn't just all of a sudden we're doing a talking circle now that this happened, but you've been doing this to build community and get to know each other.
And they know why we're doing the talking circle.
Yes. Yeah. And now let's do a talking circle about this. They already know what a talking circle is.
Right.
So you set your norms, assume best intentions, speak from the heart, listen from the heart, speak just enough to make space for everyone. And then you can skip. And I just had everyone type your name in the chat and then pass it to one person, and then they speak, and then they just look at the next person's name and pass it to that person. So that makes it really easy, especially when remotely. And that way everyone gets a chance to speak. It's more encouraging than saying like, hey, who wants to talk about this? Because then no one's going to do it. And then people have the option to skip, because it's important to have that option to skip. And I think that helps me from feeling like I need to make a comment after every single student speaks, because then that can be the don't say anything, like let the student speak. And I think that's a very positive, again, non-hierarchical system that you can introduce.
Yeah. And then students feel like what they're saying actually matters, that they're not just contributing to a, this is a class discussion because Mr. Payano told us we have to say something, but rather it's like, no, we're having this discussion together. We're talking about our thoughts, and what we say is valued. And I think it's important to That's beautiful. Just to create a little transition here, because we already kind of dived in strong. Let's just keep talking about what are things that we can do after these events have happened. Katie, I know you have some very intentional things that can be done. Why don't you share a little bit with us?
So are we during, before, during, after things happen?
So we're after.
Okay.
Yes,
so
that's where we're at now.
I think really you have to examine what's in your control, because oftentimes I feel like I can't control anything, and we get so stuck in feeling helpless because the society we live in is so isolating. It's like everyone lives in their bubble. You start your own little nuclear family. You want to move away and be independent. And we lose all connection to other people. And so I think thinking about, well, what is in our control? Self-care, always in your control. So if you start to feel like, even after witnessing this thing with the Capitol, it's not like after the event it's over, because we're only getting live broadcasting anymore. You can relive this event over and over and over, and you will relive it whether or not you want to relive it, because it will be on your feed over and over and over. So in those moments where you feel like, I just want to give this example. I am a young person, so I rely a lot on Twitter feeds to help supplement, where a therapist probably could be doing the same thing. But I just, there was this thread. It was pizza for the number 4 justice, pizza for justice on Twitter. And they said, we're all giant pieces of meat attached to a computer. Remember, the computer is not in charge. The meat is. Meaning, our physical bodies, we forget, like, there's no mind-body connection. So when you start to feel like you're not in control, you can do, like, even the smallest exercise, like 3, 2, 1, like find 3 things that are one color, name 2 things, close your eyes, what are 2 things that you can hear, and what's one thing that you can touch right now. And so, like, if you can do that, your brain and your body, they're normally at odds, but if you did it even just for like 1 second, you got the 2 of them to play nice, and you can feel it in your body. Like, you can feel your nervous system just like untightening and your body relaxing. So I think these, like, self-care in even journaling, like, I hate journaling because I'm a perfectionist. So, like, if I have a sentence, it needs to be, like, written in proper grammar. So I think
Katie, I thought about you because I got someone gave Javier, like, those pens that you can erase, like, you can erase pens.
Yes.
I'm journaling. Because I know I'm like that too. So I'm journaling. I'm like, erase that.
And nobody wants to write in pencil. Like,
exactly.
So that's perfect.
No,
but,
I
feel you.
Absolutely. And so, like, if you can let go of that, like, first of all, letting go of that perfectionism in the first place is like a release. But if you can free write and just not worry about grammar, no need for complete sentences. You don't even need complete words if it's just parts of words. But, like, how do you
stream
feel?
of consciousness? Yeah,
exactly. Like, how do you feel? And so like, that can be good during, after, and then after it's all over and it's kind of died down off of our timelines and our feeds. If anybody has not read, I think there's a book. It's called Feed. Very futuristic, dystopian, if that's your thing. But it's just interesting.
Javier's like, no. No, we're in the here and now.
No, thank you.
The power of now.
And no, absolutely, because it is so easy. It's so easy to get lost in those rabbit holes. And so, like, but if we think about what are the things that are in our control, we can prepare ourselves. We can prepare ourselves emotionally and physically for this happening again, because it will happen again.
Yes. Yeah.
And so then we can think about, well, how do we prevent something like this from happening in the first place? And then there's all of this conversation and about like, well, can we change people's minds? You know, are people fixed in their ways? And it's like, well, if we can't control, I mean, when we're not trying to control, but if we can't open these dialogues with older people and have these conversations with, I think is super important, because unfortunately those are the power holders. Even though we're all stakeholders, the older people are the only power holders, or the main power holders right now in our society. So if we can focus on young people and civics education and teaching them that we are vulnerable and that words hurt us, and that it is not it's not I can't think of a word, but it's not like unsightly, or it's not bad manners to call people out for isms of any kind, even if it makes people feel uncomfortable. We need to talk to our young people about how that people live with in a state of discomfort their entire lives. And so if those young people are old enough or mature enough to live through this, to experience racism every day of their lives, if young women are old enough to experience sexism in their forms, then these young people are old enough to learn about them. Because otherwise, and I keep bringing this up, and I promise someday I will come up with a better phrase, a more PG phrase than trauma porn. But otherwise, anything that we teach students about history or anything that we've done, if we're not focusing on how we can change this for the future, we're just teaching them about their oppression. We're not giving them, we're not empowering them at all. So those are really how do we move forward? How do we prepare ourselves? How do we prevent things like this from happening again? And just understanding now that like democracy it's not a fixed state. Like it's something that needs to be constantly nurtured and talked about and debated freely and openly, where it's not just two parties debating. I mean, all of these things, these are conversations that it takes freedom dreaming, and it takes holding space, especially for young people who are the ones who are not yet jaded. You know, they still have those pure intentions, that purity of heart. And so they're the ones, in my opinion, that are most capable of dreaming a better future.
And if we can show young people through ourselves how to stand up for themselves, how to stand up for ourselves, they'll stand up for themselves. And then they'll be like, you know what, I'm going to stand up for other people too, because nobody should feel like that. So it's like a chain reaction, you know?
Yes.
Be
definitely.
the example by being the example, right?
And I just want to say to that, thank you so much, Victoria. That's really healing as a teacher to hear, because when you're, as a teacher, having to make the decision to do any kind of political action where you have to strike or be away from the students is a really difficult decision to do, because you're doing it for the good of the students, of the teachers, and the parents. And it's the first thing that people use against you when they're shouting what they're shouting from their cars, and when they're posting whatever they're posting against teachers on Facebook. And all of that stuff that we had to go through, whether it was today or whether it was, 2 years ago at this point. But I think what I get from what you're saying is it's valuable for students to see their teachers stand up for the families that they serve, even if it temporarily it harms the student and they don't have their teacher for a day, but the students get it. As I've learned, they understand and they appreciate us doing that, and they appreciate us talking about it. I have a sticky note here that I keep, because after we had conversations, when the Breonna Taylor decision was made, we had another talking circle at that point, and I had a student just saying thank you for making it feel like a safe space, and that was after having a difficult discussion. You know, so for some students, they may be uncomfortable, but for some students, depending on their identity and their background, where they come from, where their family's from, even if it's a difficult conversation, it makes them feel safer because you took the time to recognize their humanity.
Yeah.
Can I get an amen?
Shameless resource drop. Bettina Love, abolitionist SEL.
Yes, again and
Hook
again
yourself
and again.
up. Not only We Want to Do More Than Survive, the amazing book, but if you want something that's more concrete, that especially as an educator, and I think anyone, if you're working with young people or just people in general, where you're worried that the things that you're doing, whether it's like social emotional learning, just doesn't feel genuine, it doesn't feel like you know that it's the right thing to be doing, but it still feels hollow and empty. Reading that guide is something that gives it meaning. Reading that book is something that gives this work meaning.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I have 2 students that bought it and are reading it right
Wow.
Wow.
That's
A+.
Good stuff.
If I accomplish something this year, it's having
that.
students buy this.
It's getting one student to purchase the book.
Yeah.
now. From shout out to Semicolon Bookstore in Chicago, the only Black woman-owned bookstore in Chicago. They have physical as well as digital goods. Check them out.
Man, and it's the
Lovely.
best. They're so helpful. They get you your books ASAP.
Ooh.
ASAP.
Wonderful conversation. Our last question was, what do you do in the future? But we flowed so well because we just had so many great things to say. And I think one of the most empowering things is how can we learn from the things that happen, and how can taking what we learn and making it a habit and making it part of our everyday lives. And we kind of talked about a lot of these things, like the talking circle and taking a moment to just be present and all of these things, so that when the scary things do come up, that we have something to turn to. I'm just really grateful to everybody on this podcast for really diving in and for bringing the truth to the forefront and sitting with the things that have felt uncomfortable. And thank you to our listeners who were a part of this conversation in spirit. Let's really journey together, and let's not, you're not alone. We're here for you, and there are people out there. Mr. Rogers often said now, bless his soul, find the helpers because they're out there. And he said that kind of at a time when things were just really hard with 9/11, and that has become something that people fall back to. So I think it's really a wonderful learning moment. So find the helpers. They're there.
Yes.
We love you guys.
Yes, and I want to add that this will actually be a 3-episode arc.
Yes. Arc.
Yes.
And so we were talking about, how to talk with children and young people and how to manage this ourselves, if we're just talking about our personal lives, which I'm really interested in that conversation. It's like my where I'm working on right now, and then how to talk with other people, not young people, other adults in our lives, which is also important. So I have a lot of things to say.
Yes, please.
But yes, and I think really, y'all, it always comes back to ourselves and how we are taking care of ourselves. Because if we see these conversations that we model for our students, for example, or for young people, we really we can, if you have the opportunity or the privilege to go to therapy, you know that phrase of you don't have to go to therapy when the crisis is there. It's better to start therapy before the crisis strikes.
Preventative.
So that you can prepare, so that you can take care of your nervous system, so that you have a system, so that you have a thing to hold on to when the difficult things come up. And I think that's something where we talk about being honest with the students and children, telling them things will come up, and not to like scare them, but right, to like acknowledge and be honest of what really is to live life, and that things will come up. But same way that we prepare ourselves to go out in the cold and like put a bunch of layers and like make sure we bring food to, like, if we're gonna spend a day outside, you know, it's like we just can bring it back to the very the very simple things of how we do things in life. And so always getting involved, in this case getting involved since the beginning, or as the earliest you can get involved in something, in politics, you know, see like which people are not like the final, like, oh my God, there's this vote happening, like call the senators and call everyone, which is good too. But what if we go back and like look at who are we electing on like local political groups? And so I'm interested in getting to that conversation of how we set up those systems for ourselves in our own personal lives. And just to add at the end, learning this from Doctora Rosales Mesa, and she says that if we do not take care of ourselves or attend to our nervous system, if we let our energy just go different directions, you know, when all of this stuff happens, we are like on social media and like conversations with other people, and if you want to see it graphically, like we're just putting our energy like away of us. And so to make sure to bring that energy always like back to you, because if we just spread our energy, you're more susceptible to be, she says susceptible to colonial abuse. And that can be a whole other session, a whole other
episode.
Part of the arc.
Yes, another arch. What is the word? Arc. Okay, arc.
Like
it
Noah's
spells
Ark.
arch.
Yeah, that sounds like
English is confusing.
Who needs English?
Can we do a next podcast in Spanish?
Hey.
Por favor.
Bienvenidos al podcast de valores humanos.
Feel.
Yes, please. And then I'll translate, like immediate translate. But yeah, so like in this, well, when things are happening, to make sure, like she says, for example, these days, every day I'm like bringing energy back to me, or attention back to me, so that I can be in a good place to either help, like if you take care of children, or help other people in general. And if she used this word, when we are depleted, we can't help others, and we are susceptible to colonial abuse. So yes,
good
excited for the next part of the arc.
Yeah.
Arc. I think it might be time. Speaking of arc, I don't know. This is connected to the arc. Practice guide time. Part of the arc of the human values. I'd love to share the practice guide this week, unless someone wanted to jump in and do the practice guide. But
I can jump in. I have it here.
Yes.
So our universal human value for this week is truth, not surprisingly, and the value of inner strength. Yes. So our thought of the week, what we're focusing on this week, is look inside yourself, because you already have the power to change the world. And so in this week, our objective is to tap into our personal strengths and individuality. Know how powerful we are, and that we can use that to excel for the greater good. So really, Javier has been reminding me since the new year to trust in my abilities and believe in my abilities. And so let us know if you need a text from us, like, hey, believe in your abilities and trust in your abilities. So yes, that's our practice guide for this week. I hope you have, whenever you're listening to this, have some time to reflect on that and And if you need it, write it down in a paper. I know it feels weird to say, like, these are my abilities, or this is when I, have been my strongest. And how does that happen? Who is around me? And just use that as a blueprint for moments that are hard and are we don't know that we're gonna happen. So there it is.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yay! What a good universal human value to be feeling this week, especially after this conversation of the truth. Get it out there, because it's gonna happen anyway.
I like how you said, Victoria, a good value to be feeling. To feel the value of truth. I'm gonna sit with that one for a while this week. Thank you, Victoria.
You're gonna feel that. You're gonna breathe it in.
I'm gonna feel it.
Feel it.
That should be a hashtag on our Twitter. Hashtag I'ma feel it.
Nice.
Oh, wow. I am so excited about this discussion. I am excited to continue this arc. Stay tuned for more of this topic, because as you can see, we have a lot to say and a lot of advice and a lot of learning to do from each other. So shout out to Melody, Katie, Javier, Andrea for being here today.
And I want to say, if anyone would like to join the conversation, you can email us at humanvaluesclub@gmail.com. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts. Join us on some Instagram, some YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the Human Values Club, and Ko-fi's also there. We like coffee. ko-fi.com/Human Values Club.
Boom.
Had to slow it down because, oops, almost messed it up. But thank you all so much for being here. Also wanted to do a quick shout out to the good Karen, my mom. Been thinking a lot about her during this conversation. So to all the good Karens out there, and all the parents being truthful with their students and young people, love ya. But yeah, I think that ends today, y'all. We'll see you next time at the Human Values Club podcast. Oh, bye.
Bye. Nice.
And
Hey, and cut.